So, hey, Aiden,
Yeah.
would you say you're an eccentric creator?
N-
Well,
no.
let me ask you this. Do you think it's cool to make a volleyball game based around characters from a beat 'em up?
Yes. Final answer.
Okay. Okay. Would you consider the major enjoyment of the game moving naturally?
Yes. Absolutely. That's a very important part of game design.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then you are eccentric enough for the
Oh,
subject of the interview of one of the magazine features we are about to read today. And I think you'll agree when we get there that you just
amazing. Amazing.
absolutely match this guy's vibe.
I'm going to have to
100%.
do some research into the physics required for beach volleyball games. I'll be right back. It's very
Yeah,
important to do your research.
that's right. Um, and then jiggle right back here because we've got to start the show. You've got Fun Factor, two old gamers reviewing old video game magazine reviews. I'm Ty Shelter, he's Aiden Moher, and we're two professional writers who grew up loving the video games and video game magazines of the 1980s, 1990s, and 2000s. Every episode, we take a critical look back on the games media that, for better and for worse, inspired us to do what we do. Aiden, we say it every episode. We're two professional writers. We read these magazines. We write for magazines, digital media outlets now. We have countless bylines and clips to our names. We're both traditionally published authors. First and foremost, we're writers. Now, I also have done professional radio work since I was literally a child. We are not averse to streaming, to on-camera stuff. Obviously, here we are. It's something that we intended to do from the time we started this show. But like, first and foremost, we're writers. And I've got a weekly column at prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit Direct, their subscriber only premium newsletter for Detroit Lions analysis. I freelance for other places doing NFL work, but that regular once a week work, doing something that I used to do literally all day, every day, wake up, write the end. It's really kind of making me yearn for when that was what I did, right? Like the craft that you and I have developed over the last decade and a half, 2 decades, right? Of like getting good at writing and
Yeah.
polishing our thoughts and polishing our craft and really doing our research ahead of time and taking the time to think things out and editing and going through revisions and all that sort of stuff, right? And it's been kind of weird. Something I've noticed over and over on Blue Sky is that even us writers who are there on Blue Sky writing, using our words, are not reading the articles we're posting and quote posting. Lots of people are falling for headlines. Every headline's a question, and everybody's answering it like. Politico put this article out about the Michigan Senate primaries, and that was like, progressives didn't have the big night they were expecting.
Yeah, I saw that.
And everyone's like, well, what do you say who won? Say who won. And then you read the article and it's like, yeah, these guys went to bed at 3 a.m, not 100% knowing who won.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, what can we write? Well, we can write win or lose. Abdul El-Sayed didn't win by more than 10 percentage points like he said he was
We
going
didn't
to.
know 10 minutes after the polls closed.
Right. So like, okay, so the thing that they can't do is just lead with who won. That can't be the story because they don't know. And I, went on a big long thread and I posted at the end. Yeah, this is like when I was writing the Gamer for Vice in the Super Bowl where the Patriots were leading 28-3 and the Patriots came back and won. Or sorry, the Falcons were leading 28-3. Patriots came back and won. And I had literally completely written the Gamer already.
Which is totally normal. Like, I think people who read sports websites or used to read newspapers, don't realize that there are 2 articles written for every big game, right? Especially if they're close. And there are so many drafts of games that didn't happen and endings that didn't happen.
And you're revising on the fly. Yeah.
And then they post the one that's pertinent.
Yeah. And so I had fully written, boy, the Patriots really did this. I'm sorry. Yeah. God, I keep screwing up.
Falcons.
Boy, the Falcons really did this, didn't they? And that was like basically done. And then me and my editor kept revising and softening it as the Patriots kind of came back. And then, of course, the Patriots ended up taking it to overtime and winning. And, we're just, oh my gosh. So again, at like 1:30 in the morning, 1:33 is the timestamp. Still, we switched it to, boy, the Falcons almost did this, didn't they? And we were like high-fiving. We're like, I can't believe we saved this. Okay, we rewrote it. Okay, pushed it. Great, cool. And like, yeah, for the rest of eternity, even the next day, reading this and going, no, the story is Patriots mount unbelievable comeback.
Yeah.
Right? But like, we couldn't write that starting from then and still, so it's like, if you're aware of the craft and you understand all that stuff, there's all these hoops to jump through, right? And so it really just got me thinking about how much of this is being left by the wayside on purpose, how much of this is being left by the wayside, as medium advances, and as much as even we are writers first and foremost, how much are we reading, right? How much is our attention going to just those sites? And it's ticked up a little bit because the sites that we pay for don't have ads, don't have millions of layers of overlays and autoplays and stuff, so we can have that reading experience where we can lock everything out and pay attention. But like, gosh, man, it's tough. I would just like to be able to get back to what I do best sometimes. As much as fun as this is, I just still want to write sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, music to my ears. Like, I'm a writer. I've been a writer since the beginning. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, we have an audio podcast. Like, I've guested on podcasts. This is new to me. Like, we have a video format of a Fun Factor. Go watch it on YouTube, please. I didn't know how to edit videos 8 months ago, a year ago. Like, I had no idea. I once made a silly little, like last year, I made a silly little Final Fantasy X Taylor Swift mashup post for Blue Sky. And like, that was the first video I'd ever edited in my life. I enjoy it, but I'm lucky that I enjoy it. It's intuitive for me. And I'm not saying I'm good at it or great at it or like anything, but I'm learning and I'm enjoying the learning process of it. And that's not something that a lot of creative people do. Not all of us want to be in front of the camera or a personality or have a brand. And like, if you go all the way back to 2007, I started a blog called A Dribble of Ink. It was pretty popular in the science fiction and fantasy like book community. When I was setting that up, fresh out of like university, for web design, again, not a writer, building websites because it's hard to be a writer and make money. I took a second and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to set this up at a dribbleofink.com. I'm going to set it up at aidenmoher.com/blog so that it becomes a brand. Aiden Moher becomes a brand. And that's partially for me to let me hide behind something so that the brand version, the public facing version of Aiden as a writer is one thing and not exposing all of me or requiring me to expose all of myself, my personal life, my home life, my family, all of that kind of stuff. I can create a version of Aiden for the public record. And that worked well for me. And I don't mind doing that, but that's not for everybody. And the fact that you have writers who really just want to write and really can only write and they can't do video work, they can't do on-camera work, they can't do podcasting work, to require everybody to become, high-level visual comedians with like, perfect timing and writing so you can go big on TikTok is just like so unrealistic, right? And sometimes like, as much as I enjoy learning for the podcast, I enjoy writing the scripts that we have. I enjoy talking to people. I love all of that. Sometimes I do just want to write. And pre-pandemic, I like lived at coffee shops because I was mostly writing. Whereas the work now that I have to do, which, I do a bit of writing. I still freelance a little bit, but for the most part, we're working on this podcast. It has to be here at my desk, right? Editing the video version of the podcast has to happen here at my desk, right? doing any audio work, doing anything that I really work on these days has to happen here at my desk. Whereas like for me, my natural environment is going out into a busy coffee shop for a couple of hours and writing, whether that's, writing a feature that, I'm selling as a freelance writer, or working on a novel or a book or whatever. And I just don't get to do that in this case. So it's not even just like I want to write, which I do want to do. It also changes the way that you kind of have to approach your craft from an environment, like not a environmental perspective, but like the environment in which you work. Yeah. And I miss that ability to be able to grab my laptop and go out. And I mean, like, honestly, like when I was mostly just writing, I could also just have a MacBook Air as my main computer and it was fine. But like over the past year, since we started like doing the video stuff, and I needed a bigger computer to be able to edit on, and I needed more screens so that I could properly edit long form video, and I needed better lighting and this and that and stuff. And just like writing is so accessible because you just need a pad of paper and a pen. You just need a Chromebook. You just need whatever you can get your hands on. And I do think that there's something sort of special about that. And that's also just what I'm good at and what comes easiest to me as well, is writing and telling stories that way. And I've always wanted to be somebody who tells stories, and that's why I do a lot of features rather than doing newsbeat stuff, rather than doing critical stuff, reviews and all that kind of stuff nowadays. You can do that with video and podcasts, but I just want to be able to sit and write and get those thoughts out and revise and make the story better and better every pass, and collaboratively work with editors and all that kind of stuff. And I don't believe that people don't want to read stuff anymore. I think you're spot on that the reading experience on the web has become so awful, because it's just run down with ads. It's run down with like articles that are written and every sentence is a paragraph because it needs to be readable on phones. And it's just like reading on the internet sucks now. In a way that it didn't 10, 15 years ago. I still go on forums and I love it. And that's where you can get sort of long form conversation on stuff. But that just doesn't exist anymore, right? Like attention span. And I don't think people's attention spans have changed. I mean, maybe they have as a result, but I think that if we're focused on reading something, deeply invested in reading something, we're not paying attention to the ads, right? And so they need to break those up. They need to break our attention away from reading with ads in a way that videos can force it, right? Because you can be reading, you can be watching a video, and then the ads come on and it's 45 seconds and you can't do anything. You can't get back to the video until the ad's done. Music, same thing, right? Because it's linear and it doesn't, it's a linear experience. But with writing, you can just scroll past the ads. So they have to make them intrusive. Yeah. Right? They have to break up the way articles are written and laid out so that you get served more and more ads. And it's just like, I don't know, just turning every moment of everybody's focus into a monetizable like event is just awful. And for me, I want to cover video games. I want to talk about video games and the people who make them, the people who play them, and it's getting harder and harder to write. Today, as the day we're recording this, August 7th, restart.run just got shut down. Yeah, it did. And a bunch of great journalists got shut down, and it's like, okay, there goes another one. So are we getting to the point, is like, how many sites are there that like are actually like legitimate outlets that pay people even like a nominal living wage? When I was a few weeks ago, I went to Paris to cover the new Castlevania game at a preview event. And I introduced myself, and we were all sort of saying like, oh, like, where are you from? Like, who are you writing for? Why are you here? And when I said I was from Kotaku, of all places, which is like the bloggiest of the sites, right? Like its reputation has always been as the bloggiest of the sites. And, a couple of the other journalists laughed and went, oh, wow, you're from like a real website. Implying that, the Valnet stuff, the gamer stuff, it's like, they exist as SEO outlets. And that surprised me a lot, because that's not the way I was thinking of my position, but it did sort of clarify for me how much the industry has contracted.
Yes.
And how few opportunities there are now. Is like, you and I want to do video game stuff, and we got to do it on our own. And people, there's at least opportunity for video and audio right now.
Yeah.
As slim as it is, it outweighs writing. And so it's like, do we make this podcast and do a video version that reaches, our audio version does pretty good. Video version still finding its place, but it has a lot higher of a chance of finding people than us writing a blog.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we're in this spot right now, and our audience is super, super cool. We have an amazing community full of people who love what we do, and for the most part also do what we do. There's the like, oh, we're your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. It's like our Discord is entirely podcasters.
Yeah.
That's a joke, but it isn't, right? Like almost everyone has some sort of creative, track record or projects, or they're some sort of creative. They're making stuff. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderfully supportive community. But it's also like writing gives you a chance to really put your thoughts down in a specific and deep way, and also let your thoughts stand to criticism in ways that video and stuff just doesn't. I got turned on to just like algorithmically, organically. I found a YouTuber named Skitty Bitty who'd done this. Here's why I hated Tears of the Kingdom, and it's like. No. It's based off the Pokemon Skitty, right? So, but like, it's like a 3 hour, here's why Tears of the Kingdom is bad, which is like unbelievably, spent 6 months on the video.
Yeah.
10 edits a second.
Sorry, this is totally like a tangent, but is that the one about how like if Tears of the Kingdom had come out instead of Breath of the Wild, that it probably wouldn't have hit, and that exploration in Tears of the Kingdom doesn't work as well as Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, well, and it's also like there's a whole bunch of just stuff that Breath of the Wild set up that Tears of the Kingdom doesn't pay off.
Right.
There's a bunch of intriguing mysteries in Breath of the Wild, and then you fast forward to Tears of the Kingdom, and like nothing was done with it, or something. There's like a shrine here. Okay, well then what? Like, so it feels like a bunch of stuff was. Foundations were laid for cooler, deeper storytelling, and then all those threads were dropped to just like have more crafting or whatever. But so then I was like, let's see what else this YouTuber has been doing, and they've been having an extended and increasingly rapid feud with one other YouTuber, where both of their videos are just 40-minute response videos to the last one going, well, now they said this about me, and that's not true. See these, no, these, no, well, see this, their followers came to me and said, well, that is not true. I never said that my followers should go harass the, and it's just like, and
I remember that from being a blogger 20 years ago.
Right.
And it was fun, I guess, but like,
but blogs and forums, that's you can write an angry post in like 4 minutes, right? And then if they comment on it, the comments there. You don't need to spend 20 hours making a 40-minute video.
No,
to just be like, I know you are, but what am I? Like what? Like this is not good for anybody. The incentives are all jacked here, right?
I know.
So
but like the problem too is incentivizing like
that's what I'm saying. Yes.
That sort of content, right? And YouTube does that. And I know Hank Green right now is not, a popular guy, but he put out a short video today basically saying, here's how I'm going to proceed after being basically caught using AI to make his videos. But he talked a little bit about, I can't remember the word he used, audience capture. And how as your content finds an audience, you notice what makes you money. And you start making more of that. And then creators get caught in a bubble with their audience. And that is a very bad place, because I think that ultimately, like as journalists too, like you and I want to do, we want to find the stories that are out there, right? We don't want to let biases guide our, our voice or the stories that we're telling, our experiences, our subjective like place in the world and the ideas and the things that we've done and the way that we can look at these stories is important. But, you don't want to be writing to an audience. I have an agent as a novelist or as a book writer, and like, he'll always say, don't write to the market, write what you need to write, write what you want to write, and it will find a home. And it's the same, it should be the same with YouTube content. But when you have algorithmic delivery the way that we do, it just doesn't work that way, and it's bad. It's bad when it becomes that cyclical like feedback loop of like, oh, these like feud videos do really well, so I'm going to do more of them.
Yep.
Yeah. I think like this is sort of a subject change away from YouTube specifically, but I also like, just as we talk about this, think a lot about how like audio, like podcasts, or video, like whether it's structured documentary style video or it's more off the cuff streaming video, like Twitch streamers and stuff, and writing, they all serve the same purpose, which is sort of looking at and analyzing culture, right? And for us, it's games culture. But for me, and the way my brain works, I have a very like non-linear way of constructing stories. And so writing works really well for me, because I don't write the first word, the second word, the third word, the fourth word, the fifth word, right? I might write the first sentence of the 18th paragraph of a feature. That's like the first thing I write. And then I go back and write the third paragraph. And then I write the second paragraph in, a transitional seventh paragraph. Third sentence in the seventh paragraph. And I piece it all together like a puzzle. I get all the big main points out. Podcasting doesn't work that way, right? Streaming doesn't work that way. It's all linear. If I did documentary style videos, it could work that way for me. But it's also super inefficient. you know, writing a feature takes me 6 to 8 hours after I've done the research or interviews and all that kind of stuff. Making a video would take me, again, a 40-minute video might take 20, 25 hours, right? So that non-linearity might become a problem in that space. But I think that we need to support all forms of media, because there are all sorts of people out there who can express themselves best in certain medias. Some people are great.
There's
Some
audiences
people
that can consume things differently, better too.
in different media, exactly. And it's like, we need to support all of that. I keep seeing all these silly articles about like, is this the end of books? Are we like in a post-reading society? And I'm like, nah, man. Like, you're in a society where Western democracies are undermining education. So literacy rates are not where they should be. But like, people still read and want to read. It's just that, as a society under late stage capitalism, you can't make money off somebody reading a book. They bought the book, and you can't make money off of them when between pages 78 and 79, the way you can with, the stuff that they push us to consume. In any case,
don't give them ideas, Aiden. Don't give them ideas. So
I mean, Kindle can.
Yeah,
right?
No, they.
I'm sure an ad-based Kindle pushes ads mid-book, but
yeah. So I'm gesturing here. I decided to go ahead and start sharing the content because this deep in, we are a video game magazine we're a games media podcast, and we do look at things through the lens of today and back through a mirror of yesterday. And here we are. This is the magazine we're doing today. Edge issue 113 from June to August 2002. And on the cover, very cool Mario World coins, a $sign made of Mario coins, and then a bunch of popular IPs characters. We got Yoshi, Ryu from Street Fighter, Bart Simpson, etc. Cashing in, will licenses and sequels kill video games? And friends, we are still playing video games, and we are actually also still having these discussions about IP and platforms and cash grabs and short-term profits over originality. Will it kill video games? So we've got to get to this, and we will. But hang tight, because hey, guess what? Capitalism, folks. This time and effort, it helps us to run some ads, pay some bills, or it's even better if you folks support us directly, become members of Fun Factor Ultra. Just go to funfactorpod.com. If you sign up, you get ad-free episodes. You don't have to wait through those. And you can also join us live as Greg Seward, Stewie, and other folks here in the chat. And then you get that cool experience where you get the early access to what we're doing, the behind-the-scenes stuff, the pre-roll, the in-between breaks, all that kind of chat. It's very cool. We love to have you guys be a part of it. Just come, sign up, join us, and then you get the whole deal. Meanwhile, again, we will take a break. We will come back and we'll get into Edge 113 right here on Fun Factor. Welcome back to Fun Factor, where two old gamers review old video game magazine reviews. Of course, we want you to review us. Do we get a full 5.0 in Fun Factor? Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We will read the best, kindest, funniest, and most entertaining ones on the air. Aiden, Edge magazine. We've reviewed Edge, a couple of Edge issues before. What's the deal with Edge? Well, it's a pioneering, high-end magazine done by Future Publishing in the UK, and was sort of the template for and big sister publication of Next Generation here in the US. And unlike Next Generation, Edge never stopped. Well, I don't want to say edging. Edge never stopped being Edge. And as we're about to see, the artistic ambition, the editorial excellence never stopped. We started this season 2, Rise of the Corpos, with the very last issue of Next Gen. It was less than a shell of its former self. Yeah. It was filled out almost entirely by freelancers. The editor-in-chief was his first issue and last issue, as everybody just kind of ran for the exits. Edge is being Edge harder than it ever has before. We also get gatefold cover with the yen, also very cool. Is that the Karate Ka guy? I don't know. So anyway,
I think that is the Karate Ka guy.
Yeah, and then we go in here. Here's it enter. So we have this cool thing. And by the way, folks, again, I keep bringing this up. Preservation of these early to mid aughts magazines is actually worse than a lot of the 80s and 90s magazines that people treasured. They're harder to come by. The only scan I could find of this issue was a frankly garbage scan. So some of the quality is brutal.
It's like legit hard to read the masthead in a couple of pages.
Yeah.
It's just like, low res and artifacted.
Yeah, and I'm trying. Normally this kind of stuff is intelligent and you can highlight text. This one I've zoomed it up enough and but like you can't even copy paste from some of this. So Aiden and I are going to be trying to read from some of these bad scans. Yeah. Give us a little bit here.
Before we move on too far though, this cover is sick, and this is the type of thing, like, not with the dollar signs and the yen signs and stuff, but like this is the type of thing I would have spent hours trying to make as like a forum signature. In like 2002, like getting all the sprites from the coolest games and making this diorama. There's like this Suikoden 2 diorama that just takes like all the characters from the game and like puts them in one scene, and I still love it so much. This is so good. And like the fact like the like Ryu and Sonic are like kicking the coins away and stuff is so good. And I think you have Pam Anderson even in there, which is pretty funny.
Oh boy, yeah, that's right. That's right.
But the fact that like they went and extended it into the Japanese yen, euro,
and the pound,
pretty wild. Pretty very cool. Like very impressive stuff that like this wasn't something that was whipped together like as a collage at the last minute, which is impressive. Greg in chat says that is the character from Kung Fu.
Not Karate Ka. Yeah.
But again, before we move on, I know we're running late already, but I will willingly go on record to say that Edge is probably the best gaming magazine of all time in terms of like high-end quality. Not my favorite necessarily, but the one that had a run of high quality for the longest. Like
we're gonna see in this issue. We're gonna see in this issue, Aiden. Yeah. Edge, again, for better and for worse, is doing it like no one else at this time.
Yeah.
I've been trying to work PSM in, and when we will get to PSM, because that's when, we covered PSM #1 as our very first episode. And how's PSM getting along? How are things in the world of PlayStation right after GameCube and Xbox launch in this summer lull before the sequels to all their tentpole launch titles hit? It's rough, actually, at this point. The PlayStation 2 is taking it on the chin. They don't have a whole lot of content.
Yeah,
These
I guess that
PSM
first year
issues
was
are rushed.
tough. Yeah.
Well, it's the second year. That's the thing, is it's like,
Well,
we're in like year 2 of PS2, and
yeah,
Xbox and GameCube have released all their launch titles, and now it's
sure.
like, okay, well, we had Final Fantasy X at the end of 2001, and now what?
Yeah.
And it's nothing. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing worth talking about. And slight spoiler alert, the reviews for this issue, none of the games are really worth talking about either, but the reviews themselves are. So we just have this letter again from the editor, question mark, from nobody. There's no bylines in this thing. They're no bylining it even harder than ever at this
Wow.
point. We have no idea who's writing anything.
Like an editorial without a byline is wild.
Yeah. So, sheer coincidence, naturally, but as this editorial is being typed, an email announcing a karting title incorporating the Popeye license arrives in Edge's inbox, and it's not the inappropriateness of the genre, potential brand apathy within target demographic, or the market saturation by similar titles that instantly grates. It's the realization of just how widespread, how desperate the search for intellectual property has become. Greed is universal, of course, smaller publishers finding it increasingly difficult to compete with the Ferraris and Williamses of this industry simply scrap over whichever drops remain after the big boys have made their licensing refueling pit stop. It's not a clever strategy. In fact, it's worryingly short-termist. And so, like, in principle, Edge isn't against licenses. In practice, for every golden eye, countless Tomorrow Never Dies ruin the party for everyone. Trust must be regained. We're suddenly at that last save point, and there's a lot of some doomerism about the state of the industry, and maybe our hobby goes away forever if all we're getting are licensed IPs and reheated sequels and etc. etc. And hey, we are in a moment where that's still kind of the thing. Right, we're still concerned about it, that Fortnite, the Fortnitification of everything, that every game has every other game in it. Tifa joining Street Fighter 6. My family got a big laugh over an artist. Shoot, I wish I'd thought ahead of this, but an artist drew a thing of like Morrigan being like, oh my gosh, I can't wait, I'm finally gonna get to be in a modern fighting game. And it's like, their next character is Tifa from Final Fantasy VII. And Morgan's like, dude, what the So lots to consider that 25 years later we're still here. Hey, let's look at the numbers. This is issue 113, August 2002. The page count is 130. Number of games reviewed, 15, which is not a ton. Number of systems reviewed for, 6. So that's PC, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, and one other one I didn't write down, and I'm not remembering off the top of my head. But then, of course, a bunch of them are cross-platform also, right? And we're going to see that this kind of scattershot approach, slim number of reviews across the board, is actually intentional, which is the opposite way almost every other publication is running. Either they're covering, one system and every game for it, or a lot of systems and just the best. But let's jump ahead a little bit here. Let's look at the masthead. And this one is interesting for a lot of reasons. So we have Edge, we have the Future Network, Bath, London, Milan, New York, Paris, San Francisco. Wow, that sounds incredible. This is Future UK. Editorial, we got just the addresses and contact info. People on Edge. Joao Denise Sanchez is the editor, and actually kind of not Pocket Games, but Pocket Gamer. Joao would be known as, after leaving Edge from 2007 to 2012, he was the editor-in-chief of Pocket Gamer, And then I think if I'm reading my Wikipedia and my LinkedIn correctly, this got folded into a enterprise called Steel Media. He also was a freelance photographer basically the entire time, had his own business doing photography, but then went through about 17 individual promotions at Steel Media until he's just the director of operations now. Pocket Gamer just kind of worked it up, and Steel Media does like event promotions and digital media and like PR and marketing, but also games stuff. And so it's like he's just been like moving up through the structure there until he's like the guy running stuff, but basically just kept being in games media more or less, and I think still in Bath, or at least in the sort of what's left of games media and development in Bath, which for those who don't know was like the hotbed for a lot of UK games media and development.
Where Rare was based out of.
Yes. Cool. Yep. And I think Psygnosis also. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Bath
maybe
is pretty nice.
Bath. Yeah. There's several interesting. Okay, sorry, I didn't look up Terry Stokes, the art editor, but that's pinging something in my brain. But I wanted to look at a couple of other names here. We might notice it's Stephen Curran. It's STE. I don't know how this is pronounced. Like Steve? We're going with Steve? Steve Curran? I don't know. It's in there. It's his legal name is Stephen Curran. He's an editor at Edge magazine, and we will find out he is a contributor writing under the name Red Eye. And I didn't know about this at all, but Red Eye was mentioned earlier in the letter from the No editor that we just read from. And there's a special section that's got this very like referring to themselves in the third person. Red Eye does this, Red Eye does that, in this weird conspiratorial tone that's supposed to be like missives from a like freelance journalist with deep connections or whatever. Curran's an author, published a bunch of books about the art of producing games, complete guide to game development, etc., etc. The Red Eye articles have been cited as one of the 10 unmissable examples of new games journalism by Guardian Unlimited. This says in Wikipedia he currently presents the Resonance FM gaming radio show One Life Left. I'm guessing that's not so current. I don't know when that was last edited. He and Simon Parkin from My Perfect Console, there's our mention for the episode, wrote the script to Sega's PSP title Crush. Also in 2004, just a couple years after this issue was published, Curran fabricated a fad called toothing, in which users of Bluetooth cell phones are supposed to send suggestive anonymous solicitations to others within range. He registered a forum, filled it with posts from fictional users, and linked it to Gizmodo. BBC, Reuters, and Wired news desks all fell for the hoax. So yeah, Stephen or Steve Curran, big thought fluencer in games media at this time and writing under the pseudonym of Red Eye. We'll get there in a minute.
It's funny because Red Eye is listed as a contributing writer as well.
Yes, yes. So some of these, this is kind of an interesting in-between point also, because some of the like founding folks from Edge that we consider like these are like the Edge people, I think have been bumped upstairs to Future US. Or I'm sorry, I keep saying US because we do game players and other, next gen Future UK publishing. I think they're more in the executive suite now, right? But then we have folks like contributors. Ross Atherton would end up becoming a regular writer and then an editor, and then I think editor-in-chief of Edge for a long time. And hey, here's Kieran Gillen, who actually I believe coined the term new games journalism and was an award-winning journalist, and then became a comics writer, and then a extremely award-winning comics writer. And in fact, if I'm reading again, if Wikipedia is correct, Aiden, you've got one up on him because I think he has about 5 more Hugo nominations than you, but no wins.
Hey.
So you got that rocket, and he doesn't.
I'm 100%.
You just need to win like 2 or 3 British Fantasy Awards, which I think is gonna be gonna be tough to catch him on that. 9. I think
9 Hugo Award nominations. That's wild. Wow.
Dang.
5 GLAAD Media Award nominations.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're gonna need to get considerably more gay and British
I guess so.
to catch up
I've
with
got
Kieran Gillen.
yeah. Yeah,
But
I
anyway,
guess.
I
Crazy.
actually wanted to jump ahead here because
He
okay,
did Wicked and the Divine. Okay. Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Kieran Gillen, big deal.
Oh.
So we've got this super cool our directory. It's not a table of contents, it's a directory. This is the So Money issue. It's swingers, kids. If you wanted to know what the dude who directed some of those MCU movies and Disney quote unquote live action that's just realistic CGI movies did before that, he was in a very funny movie where him and Vince Vaughn went to Las Vegas and they shot it for about $12.
Why are you talking about swingers?
This is the So Money issue, Aiden. It's So Money, and you don't even know it.
Okay.
This is a swingers reference. I promise
Okay.
you. I promise you. Yeah. So we've got our cool page numbers in 3 digits, as was the style at the time. I also love just for the sickos out here. We have credits the production of Edge. Oh man, I can't get the.
Oh yeah, that's
scroll right.
cool.
So they've got
Quark. They
hardware,
Quark?
Power Macintosh G3, G4 software, Quark Express, Adobe Photoshop,
you
Macro Media, Stagehand, and Microsoft
yeah.
Office,
Oh
Topography.
man, they got fonts.
They got the fonts
Font
in
credits.
here. Helvetica.
Oh, I love this.
Woo! Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
10 out of 10. I'm just like 10 out of 10 for this review. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Nice.
And again, they're continuing to innovate here, right? Where Next Gen was kind of getting more and more bold and more chunky and more like every other video game magazine, as other video game magazines are getting more and more finesse and artsy to kind of meet them in the middle. Edge is continuing to innovate. Some of these lightweight, clean fonts, some more of the stylized art stuff, but we're gonna see the art and the colors are taking a big backseat. So we have some like art assets. The news section less so, because news obviously they've got a lot of images to show, a lot of stock assets to drop it, but then look at this text. This is so text dense for a news section, right?
It's great.
There's
it's the
so
exact
many words
opposite
here.
of what I was talking about in the first section, which is like now everything is like breezy and open and every sentence gets its own paragraph because you have to read it on a phone.
Not Edge.
This is
not
what
Edge.
I miss, man.
Not Edge.
Writing.
There's a reason why it was talked about the power of the written word. Aiden, this is the whole freaking magazine.
Yeah.
Every section
Amazing.
is a wall of high quality text. There's so much content. Like, yeah, here's some screenshots. Cool. Hundreds of words. Just boom, 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 boom. Big old paragraphs. Tons of analysis. Not a byline to be found. Who knows who's writing this or anything? But like it's all really good. They're talking about here piracy in the playground, what's up with piracy in schools. There's like an investigation. I don't know. But like, you know, they did some cool art editing stuff where like presumably staffers met up with some high school kids and was, hey, I went to whatever the equivalent of Spirit Halloween in England in 2002 was. Here's piracy. Great, right? Microsoft's Japanese dream rests with Xbox Live, which is funny because I don't think of Xbox Live as being like what made anything work in Japan. I think of Xbox Live as like the most gamer bro environment, like white guy, you know.
Oh yeah.
And in fact, you know, hostile to Japanese games and gamers, if anything else.
It turns out they do not like having racial slurs yelled at them by 9-year-olds nonstop. Who would have thought?
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Page 14 has a nice little treat there. Keep scrolling.
Okay.
Little baby face Mark Cerny.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good gravy. Mark Cerny delivering the keynote speech this year's GDC Europe. Pretty cool. The Clerkenwell Literary Festival to include a strand devoted to video games and themes of play.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is. I feel like this year's Clerkenwell Literary Festival is being organized by The Idler and PlayStation 2 fanzine Pilchard Teeth. I this feels to some
I'm
extent
looking
like
this
a
up.
put on.
I like this.
It would be incredibly British to both A, have this just be straightforwardly what it is, and also B, have this
Yeah.
be what's supposed to be a totally obvious satirical joke.
Yeah,
And I've fallen for
I've
it.
never understood British humor. Like, it's always gone over my head, so I could not tell you one way or the other. But this does remind me of the game Thank Goodness You're Here, which is
Yes.
incredibly British, and I think has pilchards in it.
Yeah. And it's like...
No. Yes. Oh no. Yes.
In it.
Yeah, and it's like Edge columnist Stephen Poole will be joined by Johnny Ball to discuss play. And I'm
sorry,
guessing
that's the Edge journal, like, columnist.
I'm guessing that's not the Edge columnist. I'm
That must
guessing
be
that's Johnny Ball, but I don't know who Johnny Ball is. Either way,
But,
it
like,
feels like this picture is a joke. Like,
Yeah,
oh yes,
yeah.
this is Edge columnist Stephen Poole, and I don't know who it is, but I highly doubt it's Edge columnist Stephen Poole. And then we go right into code graphical sea change. Nvidia Cg programming language should make it easier for PC and Xbox developers to create high-end effects. This is something I talked about. Edge and therefore Next Generation were a couple of the magazines that really led the way into digging into what are the tools the developers are using, what's new hardware, what's new software, even coding libraries, even APIs, right? Like, how are they going to make games better?
Yeah.
And whether those potentials worked out or not, who knows?
This is so good too. Like, the caption under these two screenshots on the left-hand column, quote, I don't really know what CG is, but I get the sense it's not around anymore. But the caption here is, quote, all these effects can be programmed in OpenGL or DirectX, of course, but CG should make it easier for developers to gain access to them.
Doesn't sound like that's what happened. I don't think that's what happened.
Somebody invested in CG. I guess if you invested in Nvidia at this point, you're laughing. But yeah, OpenGL, DirectX, still around.
Yeah. Now, I'm actually gonna skip through some of this stuff.
Oh man, 3D Studio Max. Is that what I'm looking at here?
Yeah, but 3D Studio Max here. Yes. Cool. 3D Studio Max. It's a new package. Okay, cool. Go down through this out there reportage section.
Sticky balls.
Yeah, this is just kind of like weird. They're looking at the internet, right? So it's like here's this website, here's these reports from this stuff, here are these giveaways and contests, here are these goings on the internet.
Can you scroll back very quickly to page 18, because there's some quotes on the right hand side there, and one of them just stands out to me from Hiroshi Yamauchi, which I think is really pertinent to where we're at right now with the RAM crisis, GPU crisis. But Yamauchi, as he was leaving Nintendo and putting Iwata-san in charge, said, quote, the game business is unique. Software should come first and hardware second. But some people seem to see it the other way around. And I feel like that is a transition that games are going to have to make over the next decade. Is we're not going to get more power, right? And so how do we take that Nintendo approach to making the best games possible with the technology that we have, that people can afford? In any case, Yamauchi, he, like, hardcore dude, but every once in a while he had some nuggets.
He did. So we move on to the Red Eye, sideways look at the video game industry management. It's time to get your hands dirty. So again, we have this super intense, picture it, Red Eye in his study, dim light, body hunched over a piece of Super Mario Club notepaper on his wooden writing desk, fist wrapped around a thick purple crayon. His tongue, Dear Edge, Red Eye writes. He pauses. Letters are so much harder when you're an obsessive compulsive third-person user. Thank you ever so much for inviting Red Eye to the Edge industry party last week. It reads like Red Eye to Red Eye. Red Eye is Red Eye's secretary. And how nice of you to put it on the same evening as the Beeson Gregory conference, providing Red Eye with a chance to meet some video game investors firsthand. The crayon starts to shake. Like, okay, cool. Like, this is cool. This is fun. Da 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 da. Red Eye is a veteran video game journalist. His views do not necessarily coincide with Edge's. Which, given some of the views that Edge will happily co-sign momentarily,
Yeah.
it's very funny. I think this is interesting. I think this is fun. It's almost bloggy, right?
It's totally bloggy. That's exactly the word I had in my head. I hate his views do not necessarily coincide with Edge's, because I believe that if you're like a publication, like, I think we're in such a bad place right now because op-ed editors won't tell their writers that what they wrote is garbage.
Yeah.
I'm specifically talking about the New York Times.
Yes.
But yeah.
Choice is the religion of our age. From parents of this wall of text, this Trigger Happy by Stephen Poole. Sometimes, again, this is just like so much text. It's very well written. Text and text.
This is what I wanted to do. This is what I still want to do. This
Same.
existed
Same
for like 6 months after I got into games writing and games journalism. But this is all I wanted. I just want to write big features, big chunky like op-eds, but researched op-ed, and like not like bloggy op-eds. Anyway.
And again, like I want to. Lupin Kojima is the sub editor in chief of GameWave DVD, part of the Famitsu publishing portfolio, right? So they're getting.
What?
Yeah, Lupin Kojima, sub editor.
Is listed in the contributing writers. Where?
Yeah, so this is
still not convinced that's a real name, but
could be. There's a picture. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So now you get to pre-screen incoming entertainment from across the globe. And I do believe they're starting to venture a little bit into movies as well. In the letters section, which we don't really need to get into, they do get a you guys should stick to video games because you panned the Two Towers. And so obviously you don't know anything about movies.
I agree with that.
You have my sword.
Yeah, well, I mean,
they should have been ashamed and stopped covering film.
I do think to some extent that is what happened, but you kind of, hey, this is multimedia, transmedia, online, digital, something. If we can have opinions on video games, we can have opinions on anything. We'll see. And again, weirdly,
but like hire a film critic.
Yeah,
right? Like I think there's I think sometimes in the culture space is this idea that if you're a good critic of books, you could be a good critic of film, or if you could be, a good critic of music, that you're a good critic of art. But those are different skill sets, I think. And we've been talking a lot about that, like professor who doesn't like the Odyssey, Nolan's.
The Odyssey.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. She doesn't like it because she's a professor of this stuff. I get that. But she's not a film critic, so don't pretend that she needs to abide by the rules of film critics.
Yeah.
In any case,
there's a bunch of cool and interesting previews. We had Super Mario Sunshine, Contour Advance and stuff. I am gonna skip by these because we're already quite deep in it, and there's one feature that I really want to get to.
Well, Big Mother Truckers.
Truckers.
Legit good.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Why you keep asking that? You're my cousin, not my daddy.
When redneck truckers get behind the wheel of big rigs, get out of the way.
Big Mother Truckers, only $19.95.
Rated teen.
It does look interesting. I went past it pretty quickly here. The hitherto untapped lorry driving inbred hick trading simulator genre finally gets an airing. And that's the other thing is this is high-end British writing of this time where we are not pulling our punches. We are.
I mean, the hitherto untapped lorry driving inbred hick trading simulator genre is basically like the most popular genre right now.
It's
with
true.
Stuff like Goat Simulator, like
yeah.
Like mowing the lawn simulator, farming simulator,
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto, yeah.
I mean, Grand Theft Auto 6 specifically could be described as a lorry driving inbred hick trading simulator, with some amount of accuracy.
It could be. Yeah, it's true.
Metroid Fusion, we love to see it. But I'm gonna jump way ahead to this incredible Tecmo feature, because they interview a couple of people
So
from
many
Tecmo.
thoughts, Ty.
Yes. Tecmo Shinobi producer Takashi Uryu proudly boasts of the latest installment of Sega's most famous martial arts series. Edge speaks to the man himself and gets an idea of the body counts involved. Kids, this is when body counts meant number of people you've killed. Just to be very clear about that. Not the other thing.
No.
One
Not
thing
the number of solo pickleball games you've won.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, that's what it means now.
So one kind of pull quote here that I wanted to highlight. I miss the fun we had during the Mega Drive and Super Famicom days when you had gigantic bosses. What I want to input into Shinobi is pure action. So here we are, and we're in, the PS2, Xbox era, GameCube era, and what these machines can't do is you get to the end of the level and the boss is a face that takes up the screen from the bottom to the top, right? Like you can't have like Dark Souls. We don't have polygons yet for Dark Souls.
But like, because like 3D, like big bosses still don't work in 3D games. 20 years, 25 years after this was written, like even in Dark Souls, it has some big bosses, but the good bosses are the humanoid ones, the smaller ones.
True.
Not the ones that like just like take up everything and you can't see anything. So like if you wanted big bosses and he missed the Super Famicom and Mega Drive days, like make a 2D game. And I think we kind of figured that out more recently.
Yes.
With stuff like Hollow Knight and Silk Song and all of those kind of spin-offs. Castlevania, which I played a few months ago. Same idea, like it's a type of game like the second boss is this big towering humanoid boss, which is just so sweet that like wouldn't have really translated into 3D very well. But in any case.
Yeah. So the other Tecmo game that we get a director interview, Dead or Alive, 3 Xtreme Beach Volleyball.
If you do some research, and it is necessary in every aspect of game development to do research, you will see that breasts really don't rotate this way. Oh, excuse me.
The greatest 3D volleyball game of all time.
Yeah. So Aiden, this is just, and again, I wish we had bylines here because this is some of the finest writing. Can you read just the lead of this piece?
Quote, "There's a fine line between an artistic nude and pornography. Often, it's more a case of paper quality and staple placement than anything else. So when Tecmo decided to build in a breast bounce option into Dead or Alive, it raised a few eyebrows. Although Edge remains opposed to video game censorship, the Dead or Alive franchise has certainly challenged the boundaries of taste in games. But Dead or Alive Xtreme Beach Volleyball producer Itagaki Tomonobu remains resolute in his quest to sex up the video game industry."
Oh man. This is really just, and of course we have this picture here of this gentleman, and he's all leather jacketed up. He's got his Matrix sunglasses.
Oh, I mean, Itagaki was one of the true characters of video game like lore history. He recently unfortunately passed away, and he was very divisive. But everything you think when you see that picture of him was probably accurate.
Yeah. So let's go. First question: what persuaded you to do a volleyball game based around characters from a beat 'em up? So can you just the first question here? What persuaded you to do a volleyball game based around characters from a beat 'em up?
Quote, "Don't you think it's cool? I think people say I'm an eccentric creator. Many are always asking me, why? I put a hint in the very first video of Dead or Alive 3.
If you do some research, and it is necessary in every aspect of game development to do research, you will see that breasts really don't rotate this way. Oh, excuse me.
On Xbox. But it looks like nobody got it. You had this beautiful beach with a young woman in a bikini on it. I wanted to tell everybody I was working on a different title. The very first time I worked on this project was when we finished Dead or Alive 2 for PlayStation 2, back in March 2000. There were many offers for our title from the West, and some of our clients asked to include a Dead or Alive ball mode, like Tekken Ball. I wanted to keep a good relationship with them, but when I don't think something is good for the game, I don't want to do it. I don't want people to think that I'm not confident in the main mode and just add bonuses instead.
So that in and of itself is kind of interesting to me. You know, it's like, hey, can you add like some, other features? Oh, can you do some like fun extra play modes? No, my core game is good enough. It's gonna stand by itself.
So good, you don't need anything else.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
this is Dead or Alive 3 Xtreme Beach Volleyball. And it, if you're not aware, is just the most unbelievably horny excuse of a video game to be horny maybe ever. And so
Ty, I am going to cut in some footage of Chou and Aniki
okay,
right here. Look at that. Did you see that?
wow.
That is horny.
There, yes. Okay. So this is really interesting because for me, it's like we are currently living through kind of a golden era of like, I want to say more ethical horniness in video games. Like if you want adults only video games, there's a whole treasure trove of it, and you can go looking for it.
They're all on the eShop.
They're all in the eShop. They're all on Steam, et cetera, et cetera. And then even in, what we consider mainline releases, we have stuff like Hades, the Hades series. Actually, last week during the Fire Emblem Direct, Jeff Grubb from Giant Bomb was like, I think I'll play as the hot one first. Because like every character design is like crazy hot, right? So it's like this... there's all sorts of different valid approaches to, hey, you're making fighting games. They're driven almost entirely by character design. What makes a compelling character design? Well, and this game completely shears all of that away and is like, no, this is a horny game for horn dogs. There's no validity to it. There's no reason for it. There's no compelling anything, and every time they try and prod him, and Edge, second question. I'm sorry, actually third question here. Can you read this one here, Aiden?
Yes, I can. Quote, are you planning to include any male characters? Or do you just like bouncing breasts?
No, he says, female characters only. I mean, this is obvious. There would be no meaning in adding male characters.
Okay. First of all, this is erasure.
Yeah, that's right.
Second of all, people also like to see half-naked men.
Yeah. as the looks masters prove, there's plenty of guys that like to look at guys. For all sorts of reasons as well. Um, it it's funny because it's like, this got a mature rating, right? We have the ESRB now, right? And we are in the middle of, this is just post 9/11, right? There's another big round of panic about violence in video games. And even still, at least in America specifically, the United States, the puritanical streak always comes up big, right?
Yeah.
And so when you have major game publishers for major game platforms releasing wildly horny games that have not even the barest excuse of, oh no, well, this is because of XYZ. She's actually a plant, so she needs to be this naked to photosynthesize. There's none of that.
Yeah.
This is just
She breathes through her skin, Ty.
softcore. Yeah. So it's like it's just, in a sense, I almost respect it more because, like, if the marketing was more honest about what it was,
Yeah.
rather than trying to pretend they really were inspired to take only the female characters from a 3D fighting game that was already kind of weirdly horny and just strip away all the fighting and game. No. This is for horn dogs. If you could slap an AO on it or put it on an adult tag, like, I don't know. It's
Yeah. And like, I mean, two thoughts. His next game was Ninja Gaiden, right? And so like that kind of went gratuitous in the other way. There's like, gratuitous sexuality and then there's gratuitous violence. And that was just kind of his verve, his vibe. But what I also think is funny looking at these screenshots now is like, I'm seeing like one-piece bathing suits and like full bottom bikini bottoms. Like these are mum bathing suits now, right? And it's just funny. Like these are like volleyball players at the Olympics wear like
in some cases
bathing suit than what's in here. And it's just funny to see how that's all changed and how scandalous this might have felt in 2002, but now it feels a little bit like, feels very like Gen X-y. To me. But
I love this question here. How does the gameplay work? Have you implemented a game system that ensures players will find the game intuitive? He replies, I think this will be quite a show. I mean, a very cool experience. At the moment, the game only uses one button to manage all the actions according to the situation.
This interview is so good. Have you had a look at Sega AM2's Beach Spikes? What do you think of it? And is there enough room in the market for more than one beach volleyball game? Quote, I don't care very much. Follow-up question. How many volleyball arenas are there in the game? Answer, quote, in fact, I wanted to have one single play area. It's so good. All of this is so good. Itagaki, man, he was a treasure, a problematic treasure.
Yeah. Okay. So please allow me one more indulgence on this.
Okay.
I'm simply going to read the plot section of this game's Wikipedia page. Zach gambles with his winnings from the Dead or Alive 3 tournament at a casino. In the process, he hits the jackpot, earning a ridiculously large sum of money. The money is used to purchase a private island, which he promptly turns into a resort named after himself, Zach Island. He then invites the women from the previous tournament, along with one newcomer, his girlfriend, Nikki. That's right, I'm sorry, one character actually debuts in this game, not even having appeared in any of the games previously, to his island under the pretense that the next Dead or Alive tournament will be held there. The women arrive, but soon discover it was all a hoax. They decide to make the best of the situation by spending 2 weeks vacationing on the island. Okay. Great, that's our setup. At the end of the 2-week time period, the women depart, leaving only Zach and Nikki on the island. Shortly thereafter, a volcano, previously thought to be inactive, spontaneously erupts, threatening to destroy the island in the chaos. Nikki escapes using Zach's jetpack. Zach survives the volcanic eruption, but the island itself is completely destroyed. Welcome. Not part of the game itself, Zach's later Dead or Alive 4 ending shows the pair robbing an ancient tomb and escaping with a truck filled with gold, suggesting a possible financing source for a sequel. In the sequel, it is confirmed that this is indeed the source for financing New Zach Island. like the whole first paragraph is like, okay, well, this is like the stupidest, thinnest setup for the stupidest, thinnest premise of the stupidest game, and then this second plot paragraph,
it's not like a rich dude luring women to an island isn't all over the news right now. Like, it's just so creepy.
Yeah,
like all around, like meta, like glasses level creepy. But the second half sounds sick.
Yeah,
with the volcano, I'm into that.
Well, and I do like that he invites, hey, I'm having a new Dead or Alive tournament. You know, we're gonna do Dead or Alive 4, and they show up and there's literally nothing. So like, well, I don't know, want to play beach volleyball? Like, that's the plot. Folks, we have so much to get through, and we're done with the episode, and there's so much content. We have to skip through this content, and I'm gonna zip real quick. I'm just gonna show the folks Mile High Club. Here's a feature.
This is what I wanted to see. This is so good.
This is unbelievable here. Where we have, this is the exact seating chart of half of the UK games industry and games media.
It tells
flying
you
to an event
so much. Like, I was just reading a thing. I've been reading a bunch of Cory Doctorow books about like privacy and stuff like that, and how much you can tell just from a little bit of data here. And you can tell who was important and who was sitting back in economy, which is wild. Like, you have Peter Molyneux sitting up front in upper class next to David Hasselhoff, which is just like,
I missed that. Yeah,
he is just like, because there's that like hierarchy in the games industry, and you have like the hierarchy on display here because you can see exactly where they're sitting on this plane.
But we don't, Aiden, because they're all on the same plane. That's the other thing. This is something we talk about in sports media, where 40, 50, 60 years ago, the players and the journalists are all taking the same trains and staying in the same hotels.
Sure.
Right? Like, the players are making more than the writers.
Yeah.
But not like that much more. And
but
now
like,
it's like two completely different universes, right?
Yeah. But like, at the back of the plane there's 9 seats. In the front of the plane there's 4.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. But even so, it's just interesting to me that you've got this huge chunk of the industry all there, and a bunch of them were probably, in lines or in the lounge together and all that kind of stuff. We've got this travel log.
Number 25, of course, right near the back of the plane was quote journalist PR. There's a couple people that I guess didn't want to be named in this story or whatever. I guess so.
What am I doing here? I'm getting pissed on this fucking flight somewhere over the Atlantic at 34,000 feet. We've got these people taking real Polaroids, and then they're running scans of the Polaroids. Beer and Loathing at 34,000 feet. They're just, is that Stella? Yeah, that's Stella Artois. And this is really cool. They are identifying all the people and giving little bios who are on this plane, and then they have tail graphics, like little airplane tails with the gaze, like here's the lion's head, studio's head. That's super cool. This is just so cool. Here's this thing, Game On. I couldn't even understand. This just assumes that you know what Game On is, and Game On was a traveling exhibit, like a museum exhibit, but it's just,
you know what? I actually do remember Game On now.
I did not. I did not.
I do remember this.
But yeah, so this is just hey, Game On's back, and here's the new editions, and here's the stuff you should check out, and here's what they've added. And I was like, what is Game On? And I had to do a deep dive on Game On. And we're just gonna flip all right through it. You can talk if there's something you know.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, there's like Pokemon stuff there, but then also Yoshitaka Amano art.
Wow, yeah,
which would be amazing.
Here's Pitfall. And they've got retro stuff and like walking you through historical development, all kinds of cool stuff. Very cool exhibit. It seems like the last exhibition of this that I saw was in 2016, but I did not quite have time to nail down exactly, is it done, is it gone, is it ever coming back, anything like that. And I think actually, Aiden, before we get to the cover story, which is not even the review, not even the focus.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to take a quick break. We are going to look at some of our favorite writing which is not these magazines writing, it's yours. Our
Yeah.
members got a chance to ask us some questions, and we are going to talk about them, answer them in our letters section, and we'll get to that. We'll come right back. We will look at License to Kill, how licensed games are apparently maybe killing games media, and then we will get to review the way we do right here on Fun Factor. We got mail. As promised, we always review the best, funniest, kindest, and most entertaining 5-star Apple Podcast reviews on the air. We also answer your letters, quote unquote, in our reader-mail channel of our Discord. If you don't need to be a member, this isn't gated to this. You don't have to be a Fun Factor Ultra member to ask us questions for the reader mail channel. Just go to funfactorpod.com. Join the Discord. We prompt for questions in there before we record. Anyway, here we go. Quaby Lay asks, would you ever be willing to give PS1 Tomb Raider 2 a try with your adult brains to see if your dislike was related to an adolescent skill issue? I'll let you go first.
I liked Tomb Raider 2. So I think I have an adult skill issue.
Yeah.
I have save states now.
Yes.
Which would make Tomb Raider a
Yes.
lot more enjoyable. And so like broadly, I think like looking back at those games, like Tomb Raider 2 was a game I enjoyed. Stewie says, you could play the superior Saturn version in chat. But yeah, I mean, like I have definitely gone back to games that I didn't enjoy at the time, and now I can appreciate them, or I understand them like contextually more, or I just have modern tools that makes them a little bit better. I was just reading about, I think the Silver Surfer game on the NES just had a ROM hack released to like just make it easier because it was way too hard. And the original creator of the game, who made Silver Surfer, like developed it or coded it or whatever, was like promoting the ROM hack on Blue Sky. And he was like, hey, like if you thought my game was too hard, here's a cool ROM hack. So like I think there are definitely things that make experiences that weren't enjoyable when I was a teen because I wasn't good enough at them, I didn't understand them, that I can like them more now. But for me personally, I don't think Tomb Raider 2 is necessarily the game that exemplifies that.
Yeah, my eldest, I think I've mentioned this in an episode, actually was kind of inspired by one of my Tomb Raider rants to grab the like remastered versions where you can hot switch between the original graphics and the remastered graphics. And you know, she had just a devil of a time getting through 1 with the tank controls and everything.
Oh yeah.
You know, 2, it was like, okay, I'd be willing to give it another shot, but it's also like there's so many other games I'd rather play. I do think 2 was a big step forward in both control and graphics and also level design, but even so, it's like it's still going back to like, okay, why we have so many 3D action adventure games that are actually good, you know, that I don't know. Jason WFD asks, do either of you have any experiences of calling up any of the old gaming tip hotlines?
No, being in Canada, I didn't. I think there were Canadian versions of them, and they were expensive. But what I did have, like, where I did run into trouble was sometimes connecting to, like BBSs, like paid BBSs and stuff like that. Looking for like, you know, Doom tips or whatever, Doom wads, and then ending up with like my parents ending up with like a crazy phone bill or whatever because I was like connecting to international servers somewhere. I guess I don't even know what was happening, but I'd go try to download Doom wads or, you know, Doom maps, but made with like ASCII or whatever. And then my dad would get a bill and he'd be like, dude, like, come on.
My
check
mom,
those phone numbers before you connect. But
my mom was impressed the importance of long distance calls and toll calls into me at the time. The other thing was that my mom also shelled out for, as we've discussed, Game Player's subscription when I was in like 3rd grade. So I got like Game Player's Guide to Nintendo Games, I think it was, and it was kind of like we talked about I've never been like a codes and cheats guy necessarily.
Yeah.
And then I was also never convinced that like if I call the Nintendo hotline and I'm like, I'm playing this weird game and I'm stuck at this one spot, I'm like, I can't imagine whoever answers is gonna know.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll
and
be
so
honest,
then
like I probably also felt like I knew more. Like I would
of
go,
course.
I guess it was a little later in life, but like I'd go into EB Games and I'd hear the people there talking and I'd be like, man, my brain wants to melt out through my eye sockets.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So though, who was it? Francisca. There was an editor of. She became the official Xbox magazine editor. But she actually started as a PlayStation tip line customer service rep and got promoted to like CS lead in like 9 months or something, and then left to join IGN. So
Greg in chat said Francesca Reyes, I think.
Francesca Reyes. That's what Francesca Reyes. That's correct. Yeah. That's what I thought, but I was like, is it Francesca? And I was like, is it Reyes? Yeah. But like I wasn't even confident enough to spitball it. So thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Excellent. And I had all the codes I needed because I knew the Doom codes by heart. IDKFA, IDDQD, IDSPISPOPD.
Woo! Bam. They're right there.
That's all you needed.
They're right there. Okay. Darren Hupke, who knows a fair bit about retro gaming magazines as he publishes them. What's the weirdest third-party accessory you've completely forgotten about or never knew existed that you've seen in ads? And I know one we covered a couple episodes ago is immediately bubbling forth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about.
I keep thinking about that thing that you wear and it punches you.
Enter the virtual reality world of the Interactor, where all the action jumps off the screen and into your gut.
Hey, dork, plug it back in.
The Interactor. Put it on, plug it in, crank it up, feel it all.
Dude, let's plug it into the stereo.
Available at Toys R Us.
Oh, the thing that you wear that punches you. Yeah, no, I'm talking about the four-headed DVD controller.
Oh yeah, that thing was so cool.
That's X-Men. It's 4 heads and it lights up, like the eyes light up.
Yeah,
and it was supposed to be a DVD.
A DVD remote / memory card hub or whatever.
Yeah, but it's like sweet. The head of Rogue, Gambit, Wolverine, and Magneto, I think, and their eyes light up. That's the most
that was
mind-boggling thing I've ever seen. The thing that punches you in the chest was
it, like Interceptor or something? I'm trying to look it up. I can't remember.
Like I was thinking Accelerator, but I didn't think that was it. Impactor. There
was something it would have been great for Dead or Alive 3 or Dead or Alive Xtreme Beach Volleyball. It was like a one-handed PlayStation controller. The
RPG grip
or the Aura Interactor. There we go. Greg in chat, thank you.
The RPG grip. I remember this.
Yeah, and I wanted it. But like because you could play RPGs one-handed, and then I could eat my pizza pop.
There you go.
But there you go. Suikoden had one-handed controls, and it was lovely. It had confirm and cancel on the L and R buttons, so you didn't have like full control. You can get to your menus and stuff, but you could do battles one-handed, which is great. You could scorch your throat with your pizza pop while fighting battles. Wow, and that one was just cool. Those ones amazing. Were sweet. I just wanted one of those.
And then Lord Andrew Bluett, Lord Ruby asks, what disappointing video game experience from childhood still upsets you even as an adult?
Yeah. From childhood, the first thing that springs to mind is the OG Xbox. I bought one for Fable and then bought one other game for it. And from childhood, there were definitely like some licensed games that I wanted to like more than I did. Lord of the Rings, I really wanted to like. Yeah, Lord of the Rings, and it only got like the first volume and stuff, but like I really wanted to like that game, and it's not good. So that was one for me, I would say. Baseball on the Game Boy.
Oh.
But I just didn't know what was going on. I think it's pretty good now, but I hated it when I had it.
Yeah. I would say, actually, the thing that comes up with me, Batman on the Game Boy was really good. Kind of better than it had any right to be, I think.
Yeah.
But the Batwing from the OG Tim Burton Batman movie was the sickest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, that's really the coolest possible thing. Nothing has ever been cooler. And mirroring how long the Batwing gets to be cool in that movie, there's a Batwing level and it sucks. At least my memory of it was that it sucked. And I'm like, oh, the Batwing. I'm gonna get to play as the Batwing in this game. Yeah, and it's like, this sucks. This is terrible. It doesn't work. It's so frustrating. I'm not still mad as an adult about it, but you know, more mad as an adult, like it just sort of like the whole Dreamcast flopping, like it being everything the console needed to be. It delivered the hardware, it delivered the price point. It was all there, and it had the modem and everything, and it just petered out. The Sega didn't have enough resources left to support it after they launched it, and everybody just jumped on board. It's like, oh, I was fully ready to play Dreamcast games for 5 years, and just like, nope, never mind.
Okay. This is like, I guess, a little different, but I remember being at Toys R Us with one of my parents, my mom or my dad, and they had Breath of Fire and Breath of Fire 2 on for like $10 and $15 on clearance. And I could not convince my parents to get them for me. And I was so sad. And now they're not like Earthbound expensive, but they're pretty pricey. And I did buy some copies of them. I own them now. I made up for it. But at the time, like, I was like, oh, this is a good deal. And I loved RPGs at that time.
You saying
by that
this
point, and man, I was so bummed, and obviously still bummed. But
this triggered a memory. Ninja Gaiden didn't, for some reason. But Ninja Gaiden, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2. The video store, my mom used to go to this independent video store that was very cool, and they're clearing out stock, and they had a copy of Ninja Gaiden for $5. And I was like, Mom, I need, like, I haven't played this game. I've seen reviewers talk about this. I know it's good. It's $5. Let me get it's $5. Like it's like $3.50 to rent. You know, like, let me buy it for $5. And she's like, what if you don't like it? I'm like, it's $5. Half the games I rent I don't like for $3.50. I was like, no, I will like rent it. And so like, I can't remember. I think we rented it from a different video store on the way home. And I like started it. I'm like, this is sick, Mom. Like, look at this. This rips. Are you kidding me? And so we went back like 2 days later, and of course it was sold. I was like, come on. It's $5. Come on. One last one. Darren Hoppy also asks, are there any recent or currently funding Kickstarters about old games you'd recommend? I'm guessing like new old retro games. I should have researched this.
I can think of one.
Yeah?
Pixels and Polygons. Is a publisher.
Hey, yes, that's right. That's true.
Who puts out great quarterly issues of their magazine. But now they have their, what is it? It's the like 1 year, like, what would you call that? Omnibus of all their issues coming to Kickstarter. And it's sweet because that magazine is sweet. And of course, that is edited and published by Darren, which is lovely. I'm not really like too deep in any Kickstarters right now. Like, I do like to support them when they come around. And I try to support like community ones as much as possible. And you know what? That reminds me, I need to support Darren's, which I will do now. But yeah, otherwise, like I usually have like retro games that I'm like, trying to support and stuff like that. There's one called Hazelnut Bastille, which I've been like, I think I backed it 5 years ago.
Dude,
which I'm still waiting for.
I'm so bummed because I backed a mushroom growing it's like a bell jar called Terra Shroom. And it was in like, it was like 4 years ago, because my wife loves mushrooms. She forages for mushrooms, you know.
Yeah.
And so I got it for her for an anniversary present, and like it was all cool. And then people were like, "This is taking too long. You're scammers." And like, no,
Yeah.
here's prototypes. No, this is taking too long. You're scammers. And like, no. Like here we're shipping. And they'd have a bunch of delays and like a lot of other hardware coming out of COVID projects. Right? It was normal. I actually have a writer friend of mine ordered one, got it. They got theirs in the first like batch of ones that shipped out, as far as I can tell. Ordered after I did, but like whatever. And then I would keep forgetting about it, and then go like, "Hey, what's the status of that?" And a bunch of people being, "You guys are scammers!" And then no, here's a video. Here's our latest thing from China. Here's our shipments. You know, we had a problem with the bubble domes, but yeah. And so literally last week, I was like, "Wait, it's been like a year since I emailed them and got a status," and they told me I'm in the next batch of shipping out, and they never shipped. And then I looked, and it's like Terrashroom. Out of business.
No,
go fuck yourself.
No.
You can apply for like I got screwed, but there's no money, so you won't get any money back. So that was a bummer. I wasted a couple $100 pre-ordering a thing that didn't exist, and so my wife retroactively 4 years later got no anniversary present.
Oh no,
which is a bummer.
Man.
But yeah,
a big one. I think now that I'm thinking about it, the big one I've been waiting for is Unsung Story, which was a Kickstarter for a, quote, rich, diverse tactical RPG envisioned by the master of the genre, Yasumi Matsuno, and you, the fans.
Oh.
I'm looking. Estimated date of delivery, Ty? July 2015.
Oh. Oh. That's unfortunately.
Yeah, but there is an update as of March 24th last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They just,
okay.
Yeah, and like like a different like team took over, and the game looked really bad. So like, what are they? Little Orbit took over. And then I think the game looked so bad that they basically like scrapped the entire like art style and stuff, and it's just like
man, I've still got a copy. I've got a physical copy of Mighty Number 9, which I think my in-laws got me for Christmas. Like they asked around like what would Ty like. It's like this Kickstarter Mighty Number 9, and like they did.
A lot of people got fooled by that. Stop Skeletons from Fighting, which I feel like is becoming one of our episode regulars. Has a good video about just recently out about Mighty Number 9.
I watched on your recommendation that Baseball 2000 video.
Oh yeah, so good.
That's a journey.
Yeah,
oh my God.
That was good.
It has like 7 like wrap up points where it's like, well, that's it. That's the thing we did. That's the end of the journey. I'd like to thank everybody. Also, and I'm like looking at like the thing, and it's like there's an hour and 17 minutes left in this video.
You're not even
like,
close.
Yeah. All right. We are so far over time. It's so funny. But it's because we are having 5 stars out of 5 stars worth of fun today. Everybody, make sure you leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. I'm not kidding. Or Spotify or Pocket Cast or wherever you get your media. Leave a comment on YouTube. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell, hit the thumbs up, like every single video, leave comments. We will interact, and we will read, of course, the best, funniest, kindest, and most entertaining ones on the air. We will take a break, and we will come back. We will look very briefly at the feature that I set up as like the thing that I really wanted to talk about today, which is the cover story, and then we will review Edge's review of King of Fighters EX for the Game Boy Advance right here on Fun Factor. All right, we are back on Fun Factor. Outstanding episodes, so much stuff. What happens when you have 130 pages that's almost all incredibly dense, well-written text is that there's too much to cover and too much to think about and too much to talk about. And so many great prompts from everybody in the chat on the Discord. Again, funfactorpod.com. It's like socials, Discord, you get right into it. Please do if you enjoy what we do, because we enjoy talking with everybody, and it's a phenomenal community. But Here we have License to Kill. When the movies meet gaming, it's not subjective to say you've seen it all before, but are Hollywood's hand-me-downs, gaming's dumb-me-downs, or merely an inevitable step toward the industry's maturity? And Aiden, I meant to... Yes, I did copy the text from this.
Quote, with the British summer hanging over your head, you head to blockbusters for living room thrills. Myriad titles clamor for attention. Lord of the Rings, Minority Report, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, The Fast and the Furious, Spider-Man, Bruce Lee, Blade, T.I., The Matrix, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, and many more. Nothing inspires you. Think you should get a game instead? Think again. Those are the games. Okay, we're talking summer 2003, but the fact is that the games industry is gorging on big name movie tie-ins, which will be playing, or not, for years. As development costs rise, publishers need to make more safe bets, and one way is to publish branded titles, says Simon Price, an analyst at IDG Consulting. Licensors, in turn, are targeting the game industry to build their brands, so both sides are pushing to increase the number of licensed games.
Yeah. So, again, does this sound familiar? It's even some of the same ones, right? Like, we're waiting on that Blade title. We just have more Spider-Man, a new big Spider-Man movie. We've had a bunch of big Spider-Man games. We just had another Indiana Jones game. Right?
Those are like Spider-Man, Indiana Jones, James Bond. Those are all the best games coming out right now.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
They're great. They're good.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're the best. They're the best out there.
But as development costs rise, publishers need to make more safe bets, right? And like, this is the spiral, the death spiral that we're trapped in, except it's a death spiral upward instead of downward, where the industry's like, no, we have to make bigger bets on safer things. No, bigger bets on safer things. No, bigger bets on safer things. No, we have to bet the entire company on the fact that every Spider-Man game we release is going to cost twice as much as the last one, and then it has to make 3 times as much money, or Sony itself will implode and take everything with it, right? Like, well, come on.
Yeah, but except that, like, I don't even think that. I think on the surface it looks the same, but I think we're in an era of like growth capitalism where they're not trying to sell safe ideas to consumers. They're trying to sell recognizable ideas to investors, right? And so you have these companies chasing growth at all costs. And so they can go in and say, hey, we're going to be making an Indiana Jones game, right?
Right.
And it's going to be cool. Whereas like Uncharted, investors don't know what that is, right? Because they didn't grow up with it as kids. It's not like part of cultural osmosis for a lot of like normies. And
they didn't make a movie of it though. Eventually,
I don't even think like safe
years,
bets is the right thing. I think it's like, what are the phrases we can throw at gullible investors to like make them believe that we have growth potential in the next quarter.
What's very funny is the duality of the new Xbox strategy, especially as regards Bethesda, you know, where it's kind of like they come out and go, we need to like focus on our core, but why aren't we making more Fallout games? Why aren't we making more Elder Scrolls games? Like we should be, you know, let's lay off a bunch of people and go, you make more X. Like pound out when everybody's like yelling like this sucks, and it does suck. That other people are going, you know, maybe it shouldn't be 12 years between Fallout games. Yeah. Maybe it shouldn't be 15 years between Elder Scrolls games. And I realize that Fallout, and especially Elder Scrolls, I know some folks on the Elder Scrolls Online team, like, you know, they've been making great content this whole time, right? But like, there is a thing where you're like, okay, I've bought Skyrim 6 times for 12 platforms.
Yeah.
Ready anytime for the next one, and it's not coming anytime soon. Is this the best way to make games? No.
Yeah.
Is Starfield having a 10-year dev cycle? Was that good for Starfield? Was that good for Bethesda?
Nobody remembers
Probably
Starfield.
Not. No. It
has no cultural impact. Yeah.
No.
but ultimately I also think that like growth, or like the perception of growth, doesn't reside in like millennial nostalgia right now. I think there's opportunity there to sell a lot of games because people like you and I, dads, want our kids to enjoy the things that we loved. And I think that's why we see a lot of like reboots of like series that we grew up with and stuff. But it's like trying to trap kids in those forever games. And we talked on the last episode about how like kids can't get into like new games on big consoles because they can't afford them, so they play Roblox and Fortnite, and Fortnite gives brands an entryway into getting those kids' attention, right? In a way that's a lot more agile and faster than trying to bankroll a big game on a big name movie or whatever, like Avatar. Somehow each Avatar movie makes $1 billion.
Yeah.
Even though like I don't know anybody who goes to see them.
Yeah, no.
But, like they made an Avatar game and it's good, but it still didn't have that impact that maybe people thought it would. But I think what you're also seeing is that part of the reason that like the IP games these days that break out, Indiana Jones, James Bond, they're doing so too because like you have people who are like, hey, we could make a really cool James Bond game because we're going to break out of the style that people expect of us. We're not going to try to make GoldenEye. We're going to make something new. And same with Indiana Jones. It's like you take the Riddick team and they go, hey, we think we could take this idea and turn like a traversal style first person game and you know, exploration based first person game and turn it into an Indiana Jones game. And they're finding concepts that just work together and rule. And teams that have successful track records of making good games, the Hitman team and the Riddick team, and saying, hey, now make a really cool game based on this IP because you're really good at it, right? Yes. This is very different than when, you know, like BioWare got bought out and then all of a sudden was making extraction shooters, right? And it just like didn't work because obviously it wasn't going to work, right? And so I think that is a decision of like what's really driving games right now, which is like EA buying BioWare and then wanting them to make an extraction shooter, not because they're good at extraction shooters, but because they've made successful games in the past. And it's like, oh, hey, we need our extraction shooter. We need our Destiny or our whatever, our forever game. These guys are good at like making games. They'll make a great one of those. And it just doesn't work that way anymore.
Doesn't. Anyway, this is a phenomenal feature. I highly recommend everybody read it. We have the issue link in the show notes as always, and it's a direct read at the Internet Archive. Cool. And we have to review the review.
Yes.
So Aiden, test screen is Edge's review section now. The world's most respected video game reviews. Bold assertion to just put that there. Edge's review policy. And again, folks, here we go. I'm so excited for this. I have the review policy here. I'm going to blow this up. We can see how great a scan this is. Edge's review policy. Every issue, Edge approves the host from introducing type, influence, or promising games on a scale of terms where 5 dramatically moments the middle move. Edge, a rating system fair, progressive, an average game deserves as many scores broadly condensed to the following 1 appalling, average, 6 competent, 7 revolutionary. So yeah, there we go. There's the most respected review policy system. Anyway, you get the gist, even with my mush mouth illegibility there. There's, hey, it's 1 to 10. It basically means this, etc. And there's a long pre-review section editorial talking about how they're so excited to review Neverwinter Nights, and then the game didn't run on their test PC. And they kind of went, hey, look, like, everybody's like, oh, PC gaming is here, PC gaming is now, PC gaming is cool. You all still have to deal with this. We bought a gaming PC, and the new cool game doesn't run on it, and we had to call people in to come and fix it. and figure out why it doesn't work. That doesn't happen on consoles, and you can yell at us all you want, but like this is a huge unfixable problem with PC gaming.
I mean, this is around when I got out of PC gaming, basically. Like, I played quite a bit of Neverwinter Nights, but my computer couldn't really handle it. And so, like, you know, I got out, and, you know, I just 2 or 3 weeks ago bought my first gaming PC in 25 years, and I'm like banging my head against the desk. But I think setting that precedent of being like, hey, like, we couldn't run this, and if we can't run this in the office, that's going to be an experience that our readers share as well, is a really good one.
Yeah, and so this is not anywhere near an attempt to cover the entire gaming market for one console or even 2 consoles. They're including PC, they're including Game Boy Advance. You know, this is a selection of games they thought it would be most interesting or productive to review, which I think is really cool. And of course, to some extent, that's happening in every editorial section, right? Or it's at least a selection of games we got codes for, or, you know, at the time, review copies of, right? Or could afford to pay freelancers to cover once our staff writers ran out of bandwidth, whatever it is. But this is like, no, we are putting every review in this magazine is here for a reason.
Yeah.
And I just find that fascinating as a starting point to go, we're not going to say something about a game unless we have something we think we need to say about it. Yeah. I don't have any significant history with any of these games. From Neverwinter Nights to Zedai Zatsumi Yoshi to Otostaz. Otostaz? What is Otostaz? Lost Kingdoms I didn't play. I mean, some of these look really cool. Otostaz looks cool. I don't even know. This is published by Sony Entertainment Europe, right? SCEI. Oh no, but it's out now in Japan. TBC UK. To be continued, to be commenced, to be announced. I mean, it's not announced. I don't know. Anyway, this looks fun. Prisoner of War. I also like that they have format PlayStation 2 reviewed PC Xbox, so you just know they reviewed it on PS2 and not these other ones. They also have cool little hint here. Previously in issue 96 and issue 106, so you can go back and look at their preview coverage to go, hey, here's how our coverage of this game has evolved over time. That's cool. I also meant to mention at the beginning, after the masthead, they have here are trendy games that we have reviewed. So if you came here looking for like, hey, where's your review of X game that I just saw on the shelf? Well, hey, we reviewed it 3 issues ago. Go find that issue. That's pretty cool. But the game of all, Barbarian, this looks interesting. A Titus game.
Kind of looks like Gauntlet, maybe. Like,
yeah. Up to 4 combatants, right?
Like a 3D, Gauntlet.
Power Stone. I was actually thinking of Power Stone when I read it in the graphic as Power Stone, right? Sure. Okay, cool. Pinball of the Dead, House of the Dead comes to pinball. I didn't know this existed. I knew about Typing of the Dead. I knew about Typing of the Dead. I didn't know Pinball of the Dead.
Yeah.
Tour de France. Okay.
Tour de France. Well, never mind there.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I have a hard time believing that they found Tour de France like compelling enough to review, but I guess maybe in Europe, maybe.
Well, they gave it 4 out of 10. So again, the idea here is not that these are the best games. This is, we have something to say about
the most interesting games.
Well, the most interesting games to review. And in that mode, we have King of Fighters EX for the Game Boy Advance. And as we did in the last episode, we talked about, hey, we've got some SNES level fighting games coming out in droves for Game Boy Advance because
arcade accurate.
Arcade perfect. Arcade episode. Accurate. Yes, absolutely. So here we go. King of Fighters EX. And we get as we've seen before already, multiple times in this issue, we get a dramatic second person introduction. I don't know if you can read this, Aiden. If I can, you wanna?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Shoot.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So, quote, you're reviewing King of Fighters, and after skipping through it on very hard for the nth time, and admiring the gorgeous job the developer has done with the graphics and sound, and wondering how it's made the AI this lobotomized, The question appears after every word you type. How do you score this?
Yeah. So, hey, okay, great. We lay it out. This is meta from the beginning. We're laying it out. A challenge for the reviewer. How do you score this game? Where you go, technically, presentationally, I'm astounded this is doing so well. It's great. It's cool. Also, it's not that fun to play.
Yeah.
We have one more long graph. It's like playing someone really stupid, but not feeling guilty about beating them over and over again because they never sulk and never get tired, but eventually you will. And that's when you have to move on. Then you want to give the conclusion here, the last graph?
Sure. One thing I just want to story I want to say before I move on is one of the hardest kids to beat. He was my brother's friend. And we would play War Gods on the Nintendo 64. I've maybe told this story on the podcast before, but we would play War Gods, which not a great game. But he didn't know how to play fighting games, and he would just mash and mash and mash, and he had no idea what he was doing, but he was impossible to beat for some reason. And that's always the worst player I've always ever thought of when I think of the worst player. So it's funny how different games are different. But I do like how they have the through line of hey, I'm playing it on very hard, and that's not even challenging because I'm just able to skip it all. In any case, conclusion, quote, so the answer to the question, simple. You score the game commensurate with the entertainment it provides. And King of Fighters EX is a disappointment. It gives a slightly greater challenge than Guilty Gear X, provides a few more options, and is just prettier, gaining a fractionally higher score. 4, then.
Edge rating, and again, as we've joked about quite often, FOUR out of TEN to make sure we're not getting just the regular. It's not your grandma's 4 out of 10. It's not just a regular old numerical score out of 10. It's FOUR out of TEN. So you know it's literary.
Want to score it. Yeah.
But I do like the sort of, all right, look, at the end of the day, how much fun did I have playing this?
Yeah.
4 then. And they're using the whole score. Not the only 4 they handed out. Up to including, you're Tour de France. How did it? Yeah, nope, 4 out of 10 also. Right, and you go through, here's a 6, there's a 6 for Freak Style, a 4 for Hunter the Reckoning, 6, they're all 4s and 6s so far. GT Advance 2 Rally Racing gets a 5, GT Concept 2002 gets a 6, a 7 for Age of Wonders 2, a 7 for Castlevania White Knight Concerto, 4 for Prisoner of War, 6 for whatever the hell Otostas is. Right, 7 out of 10. So they're using the scale. What's the highest one? I want to know. Did they give an actual good review to any game? 8. An 8 for Lost Kingdoms for GameCube. Oh, it's a FromSoft game. Wow, that's fascinating. It's a RPG card battler. Yeah. And a 9 for Neverwinter Nights. So that's gonna be your high water mark.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's concise. It's tight. It gives you what it is. Hey, this is a King of Fighters port. It looks beautiful. There's no AI or challenge. Here you go. And obviously there's not a ton of depth. We get 4 screenshots of varying sizes. One little caption here. Sammy's done a good job of recreating the graphical splendor of the Neo Geo series in handheld form, but the fact that you're fighting imbecilic big sprites doesn't change how disappointingly dumb they are.
Yeah. I think for me, one thing to consider is you can't go into a game like King of Fighters EX expecting a high level of immersion or engagement. I guess to me it's always hey, of course this is a compromised version, but you can play it on the bus because you got 15 minutes until you're stopped. So it's is it as good as the other versions? No, but is it good enough to play on the bus? Maybe. But I actually really like the fact that this is it's not even that short of a review for a last review in the section.
Yeah.
But I really like the kind of meta inside baseball style of this review of looking at how he approaches this, because it's a fighting game based on a popular series. It's it looks really cool, but it plays like crap. you know, how do I do that? What do I do? Like, how do I reconcile those two things? Where it's sort of like a 9 out of 10 here and a 2 out of 10 here. And I like how he's like, well, you know what? It's better than Guilty Gear X in these ways, so I'll give it 1 higher than that game. Like, I just like that behind the scenes look.
I do too.
Did it. I wish there was a byline. It's really voicey. So like, tell me whose voice that is.
Yes, right. And what kind of a fighting game player are they? Right? Is this actually that brain dead easy? Are they good at fighting games? Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I want to. Before we give our scores for this, I wanted to highlight again. Greg in chat goes, "I wonder how they audited these games for selection. Did they let the staff or pay freelancers to play the ones that were cut long enough to know they didn't want to include them?" I also wonder how do you decide?
Yeah,
these are going to be the ones that we actually put the time into reviewing, right?
Yeah,
and like, I mean, let's be real. You could have played this game, King of Fighters EX, for 3 hours, and been like, all right, cool, that's all I need to know about this, and written this review. So I don't know what the answer is.
I don't buy the idea that they like spent a ton of time playing other games and didn't have anything to say about it, and like just didn't review it. Like, they spent so much of their resources on writing big features and text heavy magazine that they just didn't have time. And
well, but they're previewing these games. They're going to these press things. They're getting early builds. They're doing screenshots, and they know the ones they're interested in reviewing, I think.
And like the effort that they're putting in, I think is worthwhile, right? And but it's like the idea that they like play or have opinions on all these games and experiences, but just only like devote writing about a few of them just doesn't make sense. Like, you're not going to put in 10 hours and then go, I don't really have much to say. You're not going to put in 3 hours and do that, right? Like, playing the games takes as much time or longer than actually like writing the 180 word review.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to pay a freelancer to go, hey, let me assign out, you review this licensed movie game that I just spent the entire issue shitting on the very existence of.
Totally.
Oh, it's a 6 out of 10. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let me pay you a kill fee because we're not going to bother running that. Like, I don't think that's how that worked. I would be surprised if that's worked. Yeah. Okay, all right. So, Aiden, I'm very curious. Where are you at on this review of King of Fighters EX for Game Boy Advance?
I really like this review. I don't think you could do this all the time, right? Like, it has to be, you know, a rare occurrence, but I really like it. I like the inside look. I think it's well argued and articulated, and I think it's really interesting that it's for like a Game Boy game of like a series that had a reputation for being pretty hardcore. And so I think it's a good choice to kind of do this like metatextual, like inside baseball style review. I really like it. I'd give this like, I would have liked a sentence about being like, hey, but like being able to play it on the bus is cool. You know, so I don't want to give it full marks because I do think that there's like an element there that can allow you to look past stuff like bad AI or whatever.
Does it have link cable? After watching that Faceball thing, if the AI is like the huge thing, if I have one other friend and I can link cable this, maybe that's a different story. I don't know. If you're on the bus to school, right, and your best friend is on the same bus, so maybe this is like, a totally different experience. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like some reviews are like, oh, this is like a games journalist writing this. And they don't necessarily play games or engage with games the same way. You know, he might have brought that home for 2 nights and played it after work or whatever. For like 4 hours to write the review. And I feel like there's a little bit of that in here. That it's not necessarily engaging with it in the way that like the random kid would have engaged with it who was like a likely target for this game. So I can't give it full marks, but I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I really like it.
That's exactly where I was landing. And it's funny because I think there are some 2000s and 2010s sort of like glib reviews that have not stood the test of time, or that reviewing style. But in this case, I don't think it's truly glib. I think it's
I don't think it's glib either.
This is what it is on the tin.
Yeah.
like this is what it is. It did this well, and then there's this huge gaping flaw. And like here, I am walking you through my own thought process, and I came to this conclusion, and I think it's fair, and I also think it's fair. And also I wanted to, just in case, because you're saying he when we don't have any bylines. But unless Lee Hall is a lady, and I don't think Lee is, I there isn't a single person who's even by these names. I don't think there's I don't think there's a single female presenting name on the editorial staff, which is worth noting.
Lee Hall is not a woman.
Okay. Yeah, and we know who Red Eye is, and that's a dude named Steven. So yeah.
One thing worth noting too, I think, before we wrap this up, is Edge was also like an outlier in score.
Yes,
it
frequently.
It roundly got sort of like 8s and 8.5s from other review outlets. Pocket Gamer 80 out of 100, IGN 8 out of 10. Metacritic, it has an 8 out of 10 or 80 out of 100 overall score. So this 4 out of 10 was also an outlier, which tells me too that maybe people there's different context in which playing the game maybe makes more sense.
So Aiden, I wanted to wrap this up by this. I've been keeping this in my pocket this whole time.
Yeah.
You talk about outlier reviews. Here's the thumbnail view for the whole magazine. Let me just scroll. What don't you see?
Ads.
Ads.
Yeah.
Ads.
Any? Are there any
ads? There's no ads that I can see in this whole magazine. Blew my mind.
Now, like,
I thought I was hallucinating, and I went back and looked at it like, I don't think there's a single ad, and if it is, it's
crazy.
Right. So you talk about independence, like we don't want to jerk this chain too hard, but like these people are going purely on subscriber dollars.
Yeah,
they're totally.
Now I know that like the British publishing market was very different than the North American market, because just small geographic area, and so they could print and ship stuff way more affordably, and so they were probably had higher margins selling them, but no ads is crazy.
Another interesting, I can also recommend, once again, I've done Kit and Krista a couple of times, but they just dropped an episode this week called The Real Story Behind Reviews, or How Reviews Really Work. Extremely fascinating look into what if you work at PR for a AAA publisher. How do you coordinate reviews, and like what pressures are on you as a PR person to prep people for reviews, and like what strings are attached and what strings aren't attached, and what are they okay with and what are they not okay with, and what kind of pressure did they get from higher ups sometimes, and then what do they have to push back on, and what do they think is appropriate or inappropriate from an editorial perspective. I thought that was really, really enlightening from Kit and Krista as PR people, and then now as content creators, they're like, we don't do reviews, but all of a sudden PR people are flooding us with codes, and we do play games and we stream games and we talk about our opinions about game, and like all of a sudden we're like, after like mutually like 30 odd or 40 odd years, however it is between the two of them, we're like, whoa, this is kind of weird, right? But you can just kind of blithely go, this is better than 4, and everyone's like, oh my god, 8.5 out of 10, so I'm right there with you. I was at 9 of 10. Oh no, oh lord. Stewie in chat goes, I remember multiple times being told by a PR rep that a dev team's bonuses might be negatively affected by my bad review. Yeah, that's
bad.
That's
news.
terrible.
I mean,
that
like there have been all those awful stories about like Metacritic, like you need to get 90 on Metacritic and a game ends up at 89, and so the whole team misses out on their bonuses.
That's
and
terrible.
Like, awful. Because there shouldn't be, like, as a critic, you should never be considering sort of like repercussions of your work. And I'll be honest, like one of the reasons that I got out of like being a book critic as I transitioned into writing books myself was I started to become close with other writers. And so I felt like, I felt myself losing objectivity. Not that I think reviews need to be objective, but like I felt myself starting to fight with the idea of like, oh, hey, I like this person, but I didn't like their book. How do I do that in a way that doesn't like hurt, like as somebody who had a fairly big voice and reputation in the science fiction fantasy book world, I started to feel that conflict, and I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And so that's part of what led me into like games journalism and away from wanting to be like a game reviewer as well, and just do stories about people, features and stuff like that. Because like there should never be pressure like that. And like whether what the PR person told Greg was even true or not, that pressure puts like a bug in your head, and it's awful. It's so bad.
It is. All right. So as Greg notes, and we note, it has been 2+ hours of recording on this issue. There's too much to get to, too much we could still talk about, but we are going to leave it there. That is our view. To be clear, I'm also 9 out of 10. I'm also 9 out of 10. I'm putting that out there. I'm putting that out there to be clear.
I'd give you a 10 out of 10, Ty.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. That is our review of Edge Magazine's review of King of Fighters EX for the Game Boy Advance. Did we get it right? Leave a review at Apple Podcasts. Post it as a comment on YouTube. We will read the best ones on air. And hey, go ahead and pass this show around to all your friends like it's 3rd grade and we're on the playground. Shout us out on Blue Sky, YouTube, and TikTok at Fun Factor Pod. Special thanks go to Millennium Falcon for all our amazing original music. Check out his work and his incredible Windows 95 styled website at millenniumfalck.com. Unlike these old magazines, you won't have to wait a whole month for your next installment. We're dropping new episodes every 2 weeks. So go to funfactorpod.com to follow our show on your podcatcher of choice, and please consider becoming a member of Fun Factor Ultra, our premium tiers that unlock ad-free episodes, bonus episodes, and the members-only channels of our Discord, where we set up members-only streams of recording these episodes that you are watching and or listening to right now. Just go to funfactorpod.com, and I promise you will not miss the sign-up widget on our homepage. If you do, you and we will have a maximum score in Fun Factor.